If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it into silent mode or turn it completely off at this time. I'd also like to welcome anybody via live stream. On behalf of the family, thank you for attending as well. And services will be conducted by Rabbi Eliezer Demarsky.
מזמור לדוד אדוני רואי לא יחסור, בנוסדש ירביצני על מי מנוחוס ינחלני. נפשי שובב ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא כי אתה עמדי. שבתך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דישנת בשמן ראשי כושר ויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Когда человек живет почти 100 лет, создается столько воспоминаний, впечатлений, связей. Ни одно поколение семьи создается возможность увидеть человека по-настоящему на протяжении стольких лет. Увидеть, кем по-настоящему Ева была, какое место она занимала в сердцах близких ей людей, какую прекрасную память она оставляет после себя. И мне кажется, это очень символично, что перед нами две фотографии ее в молодости и уже в позднем возрасте. И если фотографии отличаются друг от друга, потому что внешне мы отличаемся, наша фотография в детстве отличается от нашей фотографии уже в старости, но внутренний мир остался тем же. Кем Ева была в 10 лет, в 20 лет, в 40 лет, в 60 лет, в 80, в 90 лет. То, что по-настоящему отличало ее от других, выделяло ее, осталось таким же неизменным. Ее жизнь была полна взлетов и падений. Бывает, детство очень светлое, радостное, конец жизни очень тяжелый. У нее получилось наоборот. Ее молодые годы были очень тяжелые. Это сталинские времена, где она потеряла отца. И это, конечно же, война, начало войны, Одесса и Румыния. И чудом, буквально чудом, она спаслась. Если вы при входе видели вот ее биографию, если вы не видели, то я вам советую взять на выходе, почитать. Эта жизнь, она описывает свою собственную жизнь, как она чудом выжила. Выжила тюрьму, выжила годы прятания в подвале, выжила гетто, выжила тяжелейшую работу. И когда война закончилась, осиротевшая и разбитая, Ева встречает такого же осиротевшего и разбитого мужчину, и вместе они создают прекрасное, целое, хорошую семью. Семью, где было всегда уважение, где из-за потерь ценились люди, ценилось время, ценились дети. Родились Алла и Саша. И началась новая жизнь. Жизнь, где мама постоянно была примером для своих детей и в будущем для внуков, для Аллы, Эрики, Джейн, Лены и следующего поколения. Брайан, Сэмюэл, Итан, Лайла, Блейк, Скайлер. Это был живой пример, как по-настоящему жить. Потому что мама, бабушка, прабабушка, она была больше самой жизни. Она была человеком, который, несмотря на внешнее старение, всегда оставалась молодой, всегда пытливо смотрела на жизнь, всегда воспринимала жизнь во всем, несмотря на потери, несмотря на трагедии, которая трудилась, не покладая рук, буквально до последнего дня. Труд – это было вот как культура, в ее культуре. У нее были прекрасные руки, которые могли все сшить, и все создать, и шляпы, и все сварить. Руки, которые работали без остановки. И поэтому, когда мамы не стало, и, конечно же, Полина, и Алла, и Эрика, и Джейн, Лена, но и правнуки, это потеря для них. Правнуки плачут, потому что прабабушка такое место занимала в жизни, такой центр семьи, пример. Женщина, которая всегда была на высоте, которая всегда выглядела на высоте, которая увлекалась и воспринимала все, путешествия, и красоту, и культуру, независимость, все сама. Даже когда она не могла уже, она не просила, чтобы ей принесли, она просила, чтобы ее повели, чтобы она сама купила и принесла. Как она ценила мир. Женщина, которая пережила войну, она ценила мир. Она ценила мир, не просто мир в мире, она ценила мир в семье. Она делала все, чтобы в семье был мир. Она делала все, чтобы ее дети и внуки прожили хорошую жизнь. То, что она не успела, то, что она не смогла. Она сделала все, чтобы отдать, воспитать, научить будущее поколение. Ее сильный дух остался сильным до самого конца. И даже в самом конце она преподнесла такой замечательный пример. Мы разговаривали с Полиной, с Аллой, когда она из гардероба вытащила жакет, да, и там была порванная подкладка. Ей было сколько? 96? 96 лет женщине. Порванная подкладка. И что она делает? Как можно в порванной подкладке ходить? Она вырезает эту подкладку и вшивает новую подкладку. В 96 лет. Не знали, может быть, лучший пример. Можно написать книги, как себя вести, как относиться к вещам, и как ценить все и так далее. Это один этот жест, это самый лучший пример, который, я уверен, останется в памяти семьи и будет передаваться из поколения в поколение, как история о том, какой необыкновенной женщиной Khava Kogan была, как она ценила жизнь, Она была примером, известной, такая из притчи, рассказ, как один еврей идет по городу, проходит мимо окна и слышит такой разговор. Видит пожилой еврей, склонился над догорающей свечой и что-то пытается шить. Ему жена говорит: уже Хаим, уже пора идти спать. Он говорит: нет, пока свеча горит, еще можно что-то успеть. Вот так она прожила. Пока свеча горит, еще можно успеть до самого конца, до самой последней минуты, до самой последней секунды. Она была настоящим человеком, настоящей женщиной. Прекрасный пример прекрасный след и направление, как правильно жить, несмотря на потери сына, несмотря на многие потери, но можно смотреть только на потери и говорить: я не стала этим, я не стала тем, потому что на самом деле есть настоящие причины. А можно сказать: несмотря на все это, я все равно, я стала этим и стала тем. И она показала своей семье, какой из них правильный путь. И она его сама прошла, прожила. И я уверен, что она хочет так же, чтобы также все поколения ее семьи прошли по этому пути. Светлая ей память. Я бы хотел пригласить Аллу и Эдика подойти и сказать несколько слов.
Thank you, everyone, for coming here to share in the celebration of life of my grandmother. I did not think ever that I would be standing here today. I thought, yes, she was 96, but I wanted her to live to 106. And she wanted to live to 106. And even though she was 96, I feel that she left us too soon. That's how I feel. But she leaves behind many people that love and respect her and will keep her memory alive. She was beautiful, smart, and a talented girl who had a loving family when she was growing up, often telling me how she would help her mother or protect her brother. But the war came, and she was left with no family, no home. She was 19 years old when she met my grandfather, a war veteran who lost a hand and an eye fighting for his country. They created a new home, a new family, new friendships that lasted a lifetime and spanned different continents. They had 2 children, and life went its course with ups and downs. They immigrated to the United States in their 50s. 6 months after my parents and I left Odessa, leaving behind everything that they built, not knowing what the future will bring. But her goal was to reunite her family. She was brave, energetic, intelligent, and could overcome any obstacles that came her way. She learned to read and write and speak English. She started to work in the United States in a few weeks after arrival and worked into her 80s using public transportation. No cars. She went wherever she wanted, and she used the public transportation, even when we told her not to, because we were afraid that something will happen to her. But life made her tough as nails. She was a modern, independent woman ahead of her times, and I looked up to her and respected her for that. Babushka loved her family and loved to cook for them. That was the most important thing for her. She also loved to read, to travel, go to the theater, concerts, discuss the news, and make a joke once in a while. She loved life and she loved people. Not only was she a very good friend and helped many people throughout her life, but she was my very good friend, my confidant, my advisor. She was always there for me when I needed her. She was there to help me raise my children when they were growing up, and always imparted words of wisdom to them, to me, on how life should be lived. Even though in the last years of her life, her heart and her hearing were minimizing her activities and movement, she was still as feisty as ever and insisted on doing things herself. Babushka Yeva was an intricate part of our lives, and there was not a day that passed that we did not talk, and probably will not be a day that I will not be talking to her in the future. I know that my family and I will miss her forever, very much. And honestly, half a page is not enough to say what a century of life lived is. This is nothing. This is nothing.
I don't have a half a page because to say half a page about Yevachka is to say nothing. To say War and Peace amount of words is to say nothing. Because she was unique. She was very funny. She loved life. She loved her family. She was an example. But most importantly, when I was talking to all of our friends, everybody noticed one thing. No matter where she was with our family at the party, nobody felt that she was 50 years older. Everybody talked with her. Everybody liked her. Everybody felt comfortable with her. She was unique in a way that she didn't have a formal education. Yet, there was a lot of things that you could learn from her. Wisdom, she said, you cannot buy. You have to live life and get experience. And I always remember one example. I was doing something. We had a party, and I dropped her off at her house, at her apartment. And she had the mezuzah, and she came up and kissed the mezuzah as she is walking into the apartment. And she says, Edinka, every time I come into the house, I kiss the mezuzah, and I ask for your health, and I ask for the whole family. And I go, Yevachka, come on. I'm not the top of your list. Why ask for my health? You have your daughter, you have your son, you have your grandchildren. No, you don't understand. Yesterday, I started with my daughter. Day before, I started, but now that you're here, I start with you. So she was unbelievable. 2 weeks ago, she called the boys and said, why are you not asking me to cook for you? And they said, Babushka, you're sick. Four hours later, she called me, and I picked up like 60 tvorozhniki. How can a person at 96 do this in 4 hours from scratch? It wasn't going to a jewel and buying, as she said, American crap. It was making tvarog herself and making the tvorozhniki with her own hands. Like I said, she did not have a formal education, but she did everything in life to make sure that her family education would be number one, and she attained it. She has, like in the stereotypical, jokes about Jews, the family had a lawyer and a doctor and an accountant. Well, she had all of that in her family. She also loved my family. I mean, we became one, but what I'm saying, my family, when my mom just recently passed, they lived in the same building. And no matter how much we told Yevachka that mom doesn't need sugary stuff. She has high blood sugar, and she needs to be on a strict diet. She would cook, she would deliver, and if I would call her and say, Yevachka, thank you, but don't do it, huh? I cannot hear you. What did you say? She was a wonderful, strong woman. I loved her as my own grandmother because I didn't have a chance to see my maternal grandparents. I only knew my grandma on my dad's side for 10 years. I knew Yevachka for 40 plus years. And I was her true grandson. I can say that with 100% certainty. Yevachka, you did a great job. Everybody will remember you and miss you a lot.
I'm Jane, for those of you who don't know me. I'm one of Baba Yeva's 4 granddaughters. Although my grandma isn't with us anymore, she is the ultimate survivor. She is the definition of strength and resilience. She survived the Holocaust as a child, living alone in a neighbor's basement for years. She came to this country with no material possessions, but built a rich life with her love, Borda, who she lost 23 years ago and has lived by herself every day since. And then lost her son, my dad, way too early 4 years ago. But despite all of that, she continued to find joy in her family and loved everyone with every morsel in her body. I have so many wonderful memories of Baba Yeva. One memory that's on a revolving loop is how she always wanted to make sure nobody left her place without feeling full to our stomachs. When my dad was born, my grandma was so worried her son was skinny, so made sure her cooking definitely fixed that problem. To just a few months ago, I brought my 11-year-old son Blake over to see her. She was encouraging him to eat fried liver and pirashki. You can just imagine how much an 11-year-old boy loved that. And then she made us a doggy bag so we can all eat that again for dinner. She also loved telling stories. One of my favorite stories she would tell us is how my grandpa Borda found my grandma after the war and said, Yeva, I'm not here to date you, I'm here to marry you. Baba Yeva also taught me what hard work looked like. She worked until she was in her 80s. She took several buses to work. She loved to brag how her condo was spotless without the need of a cleaning lady. I will miss Baba Yeva so much, but I know she's back with her love and her son and her parents and her brother. I will continue talking about her to my kids so her memory is never forgotten. Love you, Baba.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm 34 years old, and I'm Baba Yeva's youngest grandchild. My Baba was always a constant figure in my life. From as far as I can remember, I have memories of my grandma Khava. One memory that sticks out vividly is when she took me for the first time to get my ears pierced. I was a little girl, and my father drove me to her house on Toohey Avenue in Lincolnwood. We went to Lincolnwood Mall. I was afraid of the needle, and I didn't want to go through with it, so as any good grandma would do, she bribed me. She bribed me using a McDonald's lunch and a present. This is probably the most vivid memory of her from my childhood that I can remember. Luckily, Baba Yeva lived much longer from there. About 8 years ago, I started to regularly visit my grandma at her condo in Skokie. The visits started to become more regular as I stopped by when I was in the area working with clients. As the years went on and the visits became routine, I would pull up in my car on Oakton Avenue, do a U-turn in the middle of the road, and park alongside her condominium. Usually I would call her before to tell her I was coming so she would expect my visit. When I walked through the first double door, I dialed 006 and I would hear her loud voice on the telecom letting me in. The signal would beep and the door would open. Up to the 3rd floor I went. And if I ever forgot which floor it was, all I had to do was check the hallway to see my grandma standing at the end with the door open waiting for me to arrive. This routine stayed the same for the last 8 years, except for a few things. I eventually met my husband, Brandon, and started taking him to visit Grandma. He really enjoyed the visits, especially because he no longer had any of his grandparents around, and Baba, of course, treated him very well. Other times, I would visit with my sister Jane, and we would coordinate to come together with the Brandons, Lila, and Blake. These were fun times as we were all together, and Baba Yeva was thrilled to see us all at once. Regardless of the occasion, Baba always made tea and strudel, and offered, well, actually insisted on something to eat and drink. She wouldn't really take no for an answer and would often gloat about how good of a cook she was and how well she maintained the home. Other times, she would show us stacks of photo albums filled with family photos, always pointing to immediate family members like Deda Borja, my mom, and my dad. She was a very proud woman of her family. Of course, there was the occasional trip out of the house to Old Orchard Mall where we would eat lunch at Nordstrom Cafe. I would always look forward to the next visit with her, knowing we were spending quality time together. Last year, the visit took a different spin when Baba Yeva got to meet her youngest great-grandchild, Skylar. As you can imagine, the moment was a true joy. She held him tight, rocked him, played with him, and told me, "He likes me. He doesn't want to get out of my lap." Like usual, she tried to offer him something to eat and lectured me about making sure I gave him enough water to drink. "You like to drink water, don't you?" she would say. "Well, so does he." Baba Yeva was always in true form, and that is how I will remember her forever. No matter the day, the year, or even the last calls we had, she always said and acted the same as always, and this is a true gift of life. Babachka, I will miss you and all the times we shared together. You were a gift to me, and I will always appreciate the time we shared together on this earth, especially the times you held Skylar. Rest in peace, Baba. You will always be missed and greatly loved. Thanks.
Пожалуйста.
Существует такое понятие, что тело человека умирает, а душа его остается со всеми нами. Ева, дорогая, твоя душа должна знать, здесь с тобою твоя дочь с мужем, 3 внучки, Алочка, Джейн, Эрика и 6 правнуков. У Алочки 3 сына, у Джейн дочка и сын Блейк, который носит имя твоего мужа Бори, и 3-я внучка Эрика, которая недавно, год тому назад, преподнесла для Евы сына Скайлар, первая буква «С» Саша, вторая буква «Хей» Коган. И она пожелала абсолютно всем многих лет здоровых, здоровых, здоровых и счастливых. А тебе пускай будет земля пухом, Ева.
Имя Ева Это происходит от еврейского имя Хава. И Хава, как мы знаем, это первая женщина. И сама Тора говорит, почему ее назвали Хава, потому что она мать всего живого, от слова Хаим. И Ева действительно была матерью, источником всего живого в ее семье. И эта жизнь продолжается, ее жизнь продолжается через жизнь многих поколений, которые она привела в этот мир. Сегодня мы молимся, просим Всевышнего, чтобы Он вспомнил. Довольно большая работа даже для Бога. Вспомнить все хорошее, что Ева сделала за свою жизнь, что она создала, и чтобы ее душа заняла самое высокое, самое почетное место среди еврейских героинь, матерей и праведниц. Я попрошу всех встать на время этой молитвы и в конце ответить «Аминь». אל מלא רחמים שויכן במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה. במעלויס קדושים וטהורים כי זוהר הרקיע מזהירים. Es nishmas Khava Bashmuel shalcha לעלמה. בעבור שמשפחתה תיתן לצדוקה בת אזכורס נשמסה. בגן עדן תהיה מנוחסה. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בססר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים אס נשמסה, אדוני הוא נחלסה. וסנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. Садись, пожалуйста, пристойки сидцы.
This does conclude the service here at the chapel. After the interment, the family would like to invite everyone back to the Maestro Grill, 500 Anthony Trail in Northbrook. That address is on your folders. If you didn't get one when you entered, please get one. When you leave, they'll be immediately following the interment. The interment will take place at Memorial Park Cemetery. That's 9900 Grosse Point Road in Skokie. The procession will be forming in the parking lot. Please keep in mind a few safety features while in the procession. Keep your bright headlights on at all times. Put your emergency blinkers on. Attach the orange funeral sticker to the passenger portion of your front windshield. And we will also attach a flag to the roof of your car. And please stay as close as safety permits to the car in front of you. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise as the family, the rabbi, and Mrs. Kogan are escorted from the chapel. If we could have maybe the grandchildren step forward to help serve as pallbearers. And Yaakov, if you'd like to as well, you can.